two, three. Thank you, Mr. Ernest, to be interviewed with me today. And the topic today will be about the Agenda 2030 and then environment localization. The first question is, how far has Zimbabwe gone with the implementation of sustainable development goals under the Agenda 2030, and which goals are seeing the most progress?
Thank you for having me. So the Agenda 2030 is an organization, NANGO, the National Association of Non-Governmental Organisations. We have been part of the various structures in country that has been put in place to spearhead and to oversee the implementation of the SDGs in country. So far, the country has participated in 3 voluntary national reviews, one in 2018, the other one in 2021, and the last one, the most recent one, in 2024. And overall, as a country, we are still far behind in attaining the sustainable development goals, all of them. But I must say, I think there are quite a number of factors that is impeding on us as a country in terms of attaining the Agenda 2030 targets. One of it is issues to do with the financing for development. As a country, we are resource constrained in as much as we have been also benefiting through various partnerships with the other multilateral institutions and even through multilateral financing institutions. But one of the challenges has been around mobilizing the necessary resources required for us to implement the programs. Secondly, has been the COVID-19. Of course, during the COVID-19, we have seen us reversing some gains across some of the sustainable development goals. Last but not least, there are also some governance challenges that continue to militate against our ability to deliver our development programs. You would find that as a country, we are still having challenges of corruption, challenges of illicit financial flows, and also we are still having challenges of lack of enablers that will ensure development cooperation across different sectors. But just to pinpoint some of the SDGs, there are some SDGs where we are doing better, and I would want to make reference to SDG 3 in terms of access to health. If you look at the indicators, I think there is a steady progress around that. SDG 4 as well, around quality education. I think as a country, we've been doing well in terms of promoting access to education. SDG 5 as well, around issues to do with gender equality. I think as a country, we have come up with quite a number of reforms that are earmarked at advancing gender equality. Last but not least, in terms of access to water, I think we have been doing quite well. Of course, there are some improvements to be done. But just to highlight some of the SDGs where we are not doing quite well, one could be around ending hunger. And this can be attributed to climate-induced disasters that we have been experiencing as a country. So we are an agro-based economy. So whenever there are climate-induced droughts or floods, we tend to suffer the most in terms of the vulnerability. So generally, there has been food insecurity. But of course, this time around, I think we expect a better harvest because of the weather conditions that are there. Secondly, the issue of SDG 16, again, on good governance, as I have mentioned, I think there are some challenges with regards to that. SDG number 8, around decent work, we face challenge of informalization, where our economy is highly informalized. So it's difficult for us as a country to really promote decent work and also spur economic growth.
All right. Let's move to the second question. What strategies has NANGO adopted to promote localization, ensuring that development initiatives are led by local communities and organizations rather than external actors?
Yes, well, as an organization, we do have a running program, which we call Localization in Action Initiative. And through this initiative, I think the starting point has been to try and create a platform for civil society organizations, our members, as well as the development partners and donors, and also the international NGOs to come together. Because we realize that without the international NGOs and the donors that have committed through the Grand Bargain and the Charter for Change commitments, it's difficult for us to really address some of the barriers, especially when it comes to us promoting equitable partnerships, us promoting co-creation, co-designing of programs, but also shifting from risk shifting by international NGOs and donors to risk sharing. So I think so far we have had a very good progress in terms of creating a platform, and also this platform has helped us to be aligned and to have a common framework of localization, trying to compare what localization means to us as local NGOs and what localization means to international NGOs, and also what localization means to donors. So I must say there has been some standardization that has been done, and as it stands right now, I think we are seeing some progress. The only challenge that is currently there regarding the localization agenda is mainly around the financing, because one of the key components in advancing localization is shifting resources from intermediaries or from international NGOs to local actors, those that are at the front line in terms of development and humanitarian work that they are doing. So I think currently it's because of the funding landscape. That has been one of the major barriers, but going forward, as we are also trying to explore future fit funding models, including mobilizing resources domestically, we will try to make sure that if there are any pooled funds, they must benefit or they must channeled to support the work of the local actors that are at the core when it comes to interventions and when it comes to humanitarian and development support to our communities.
Thank you so much. Now let's move to the third question. What are the biggest challenges NGOs face in Zimbabwe in terms of regulatory frameworks and operating conditions, and how is NANGO advocating for a more enabling environment?
Well, yes, our NGOs are navigating a complex regulatory environment, mainly because as a country, we recently had a new regulatory framework in form of an amendment that was done to the existing regulatory law for NGOs, which is called the Private Voluntary Organization. So in April 2025, we had an amendment that was enacted. So as I'm speaking here, this law remains partially implemented or operationalized. The regulations that are supposed to be developed to accompany this law are yet to be finalized and gazetted. And this has posed a lot of challenges as organizations are trying to align and to comply with the new regulatory environment. So I must say there is some uncertainty. Some organizations are now compelled to re-register. They have been existing, operating in other forms, and now they are required to re-register under this new law. So that has been posing a lot of challenges to our organizations as they remain unsure whether they are going to be registered or not. So there is this anxiety and frustration, and also the process of transitioning and registering has been not very smooth as anticipated, and also it has not been very seamless as we anticipated. But compounding to this has been also challenges to do with the securitization, where as a country you could actually see that there is enhanced monitoring and surveillance of civil society and the work that they do. And as a result, organizations have been finding it difficult in terms of freedom to assembly, freedom of expression, freedom of association. And I would say there has been some sensitivities and self-censorship by organizations in terms of doing their work independently and with autonomy. And compounding to this again has been aspect of lawfare, where as a country we have experienced in cases where the law has been used to weaponize the civic space, where there has been also selective application of existing laws to different organizations based on your thematic cluster or areas of focus. For example, those that are programming around human rights, democracy, and governance have been disproportionately affected because of the political sensitivities that is there. And lastly, has been around the issue of weaponization of international standards, where the country has been introducing operational requirements and new compliance requirements that are administratively burdensome to the non-profit organizations under the guise of complying with international standards, especially the Financial Action Task Force Recommendation 8, which has been one of the challenges. So in a nutshell, or overall, I must say the regulatory environment in Zimbabwe remain very complex. There is volatility, uncertainty, ambiguity, and also I think we continue to then come in and try to support. So in terms of the work that we've been doing, it has been with regards to the new law, through what we call civil society legitimacy, accountability, and compliance support. We've been trying to assist our members to navigate the new requirements, for them to comply with the new requirements. But over and above that, because of the existing gray areas regarding this new law, we have been also utilizing what we call the Talk to Regulator platform that my organization has initiated, which is basically a platform to engage with the regulators, try to find each other, and also try to have legal clarity in terms of what are the expectations from the civil society organizations regarding this new law.
Right. Now let's move to the fourth question. How does NANGO work with government, private sector, and international partners to ensure that local NGOs have a meaningful role in decision making and policy implementation?
So in terms of mandate, NANGO plays the representative role, representing the civil society organizations to government, to private sector, and we have been doing this through various ways. I think I must say the first thing is around the platforms that we have through the Talk to a Regulator. Traditionally or previously, we used to have ad hoc nature of engagements between civil society organizations and government. But I think through the conceptualization and the introduction of the Talk to a Regulator initiative, we have had systematic and regular engagements between civil society and government to discuss so many issues. Initially, it started off as a platform to discuss issues to do with regulation and operating environment of civil society, but now it has grown to start also encompassing issues to do with even police advocates, creating a space for civil society to influence the various development processes happening in the country. With regards to the private sector and the other actors in the ecosystem, we do have a platform which we call the Non-State Actors Apex Alliance platform, which is mainly a platform where we bring together other non-state actors, including the private sector, the academia, and like universities, the trade unions, and many other actors in the ecosystem to share notes, to learn from one another, and to try and co-create some joint advocacy initiatives that might affect the non-state actors as a whole. So I must say, this is how we have been coordinating our members to participate in various processes. But over and above that, NANGO has a very good credibility and recognition in the country. So there are various in-country structures that has been put in place to advance various issues affecting our economy, affecting our people, and we always ensure representation either by our secretariat staff or even by some of our member organizations to still push and to still amplify the aspirations of our members and civil society in general.
Now let's move to the last question. In the context of Agenda 2030 and localized solutions, how does NANGO ensure transparency, accountability, and measurable impact in its work and that of its member organizations?
Well, this is a good question. So globally, we continue to see challenge to civil society by so many other actors in the space in terms of demonstrating our value addition, demonstrating our contribution to the development of our countries, and also even globally, what has been the value addition of civil society. So as a country, or as an organization rather, as NANGO, we have tried to come up with some very good initiatives around demonstrating the value addition that NGOs in the country are contributing to the development. So we do have an initiative which we call the Zimbabwe Social Impact Investment Exchange Platform. We shorten it as ZIM6. This is a one-stop center where we aggregate the work of civil society, we document, we capture the different programs, the different initiatives that are being implemented by our members across the country. And through this, it has what we call analytical capabilities, where we are able to then come up with some dashboards, come up with some reports as to demonstrating how, for instance, NGOs are contributing to SDGs, and for each SDGs, which particular programs are being implemented. And we are also leveraging on the existing in-country reporting structures. So there are a lot, for example, for Sustainable Development Goals or Agenda 2030, we do have a monitoring and evaluation committee that on annual basis meets, aggregate information, and generate SDG reports. So we intend to use this ZIM6 platform as a platform that will help us to generate the information, demonstrate the accountability, and also ensure that the legitimacy of civil society and even the contribution of civil society is well acknowledged across the different development areas of the country.
Thank you so much, Mr.